Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Cozy Christmas Podcast. I'm your host, Art, and we've reached the end of Season 1. And so in today's episode, I want us to take a moment to look back on Christmas 2020. We've been hearing it said a lot that 2020 has been something of a dumpster fire. I know in some way COVID has impacted all of us. Many events in the news lately have been and will continue to impact us into the new year. But I want to focus on the good things that have happened this past year. Tell me about your year 2020. Tell me about your Christmas this year. Was it different? Was it the same? Did you get some great gifts, or were things pretty laid back and casual? If you have a funny story, a heartwarming story, a sad story, I would love to read that on the podcast. And you can send that to me at cozychristmaspodcast@gmail.com or reach out to any of my social media links. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I'd encourage you to follow me there. And so to start off with our episode today, I want to read a memory sent in by our listener, Rick. Now, in the last episode, we heard a wonderfully charming story from Rick, and he sends me another memory this time around. It's part 2. He says, in the early 1970s, my dad was promoted and was transferred, along with his family, us, to Bowling Green, Kentucky. At the same time, I was just entering high school. My Christmas focus shifted from getting to giving at Christmas. One of my most memorable Christmases was during my college years. As happens so often, I was at a loss as to what to get for my family. All at once, while perusing the Sears catalog, I happened on a pool table. What a great idea! So I went to the bank and got an advance on my college tuition, $600, and proceeded to purchase the pool table. Of course, I couldn't take something that large home, so I had to store the table over at a friend's home. Then, Christmas Eve, in the middle of the night, after we were well lubricated, several friends that I recruited to help haul the table went and picked it up. On the way home, being in a jolly mood, we hollered out Christmas carols at the top of our lungs from the back of a pickup truck. I'm sure all the parents along our route were thrilled to death to hear a truckload of drunk college students waking the kids. We got to my house and got the pool table set up without incident, and it was enjoyed by the entire family for many years after. Another year, I was dating a beautiful girl I'll call JT. JT had to be the sweetest girl I have ever met and loved animals at least as much as most humans. One time she came over crying her eyes out, calling herself a murderer. Why? She said she had accidentally hit and killed a bird with her car. So one year, I wanted to show JT how much she meant to me by getting her an extra special gift. While walking through our local mall, I found just the right item. It was a beautiful rabbit coat. Sure, it was expensive, but not only was it gorgeous, but it was wonderfully soft, and I knew it was the perfect length to look fabulous on her. Well, when I gave it to her, I might just as well have given her a box of baby rabbits and a cleaver with a recipe for rabbit stew. Of course, she tried to hide her joy, but I could tell she was thrilled. I'm sensitive that way. I don't remember what happened to that coat, whether we took it back, exchanged it, or she buried it in the backyard. Oh well, nobody has ever accused me of being overly sensitive. Merry Christmas to all. And that's a Christmas memory from Rick. And Rick, let me again just tell you how much I'm enjoying your stories. I had to record this one a couple times because I kept laughing. Rick, I hope that all worked out well for you in the end. Keep sending me those great memories. If you want to be awesome like Rick, send me a Christmas memory. It can be funny. Like I said, it can be funny, tragic, whatever. I'd love to hear it and love to read it. Rick, I'm really glad I waited to read your stories in January because this is bringing me the Christmas joy that I'm missing right now. So thank you for that. And thank you for listening. Send me your Christmas memory at cozychristmaspodcast@gmail.com, and I'll read it on the air and send you a Christmas card and a sticker. I have another interview for us today, and I think you'll enjoy this one. Manny, the host of the Christmas podcast, Feliz Christmas Merry Navidad, joins me, and his podcast is a wonderful podcast. It is full of joy and cheer and love for others, and he is just a beacon of Christmas joy. I'm so thankful if you caught him in the last few episodes ago. We sent him up to the North Pole, and he managed to find Santa and do a little interview with him there. That was pretty exciting. I didn't know what to expect when we sent him up there, but boy, Manny came through. So I will head over and pay a visit with Manny right now.
Hi, this is Manny from Feliz Christmas Merry Navidad, the bilingual, multilingual Christmas podcast. In our podcast, you will hear about foods, traditions, how this 2020 Christmas will be interesting, especially from 6 feet away, and many more new surprises. Join me on the road to Christmas, along with many guest hosts from other podcasts from the Christmas Podcast Network. You can listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, or just search for us on your favorite podcast platform. You could also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at FCMN Podcast. Or visit our website, fcmnpodcast.com. Feliz Christmas, Merry Navidad.
Manny, welcome to a Cozy Christmas podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. Some of you might recognize his voice. We sent him to the North Pole for on-location interviews. Manny, thanks for heading up there and risking frostbite for us.
It was my pleasure.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your podcast and what it's about and how you got started doing that.
All right, I'm going to start from the beginning.
Okay.
So there was the Christmas in July special from Tista Podcast, and I was battling myself to send in a recording or not. So when I sent it, I had very good feedback from the elves over there. And Julia said she liked my accent.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
And it encouraged me. And then I kept in touch with them. And then they invited me to the Discord group. I mentioned to them that I was thinking, I guess, of trying it out. And I get this invitation to the Discord group. And like I've always said, it's an underground society of Christmas people. That's
yeah, it really is.
It's awesome. And then from there, I get mentored by Chris from Christmas Time in the City. I'm just name dropping and promoting everybody.
Yeah,
right?
I do it all the time. Yeah, it's fine.
So he's been my mentor in this whole thing. And I always said I didn't have a clue of what it was going to be about. It's the generic, it's about food. It's the bilingual, multilingual Christmas podcast. But everything still, we stuck to English so far. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't have where to go, but then I had so many places to go. And once you start getting that Christmas spirit, and every time you get closer and closer to Christmas, you come up with new things. But people, they rate movies. They talk about movies. I've been in other podcasts talking about movies. Mm-hmm. And last year was really awesome when it came to that, because all you guys, I mean, I'm here because of the support I get. Instead of being a competition, it's just support all around. And well, what better time of year than to Christmas and to try and touch people's lives than to try and get to people in an emotional way. I mean, we have the little different segments, even a drinking segment, which those are going to be fun when I upload, just because all of them have to do with Christmas. Mm-hmm. So I still haven't found what actually is the force that's going to drive the podcast. And at the way I'm going, hopefully I never do find it, because I could do just about anything. It's, from talk about food, then about to reaching out to other people. It's awesome. And then getting sent to the North Pole.
Yeah, that was sending you to the North Pole. That we put together all the pennies that this podcast has earned and sent you up there. So it explains the dog sled, I guess.
Yep. And the lack of airplane.
Yes, lack of airplane, right. There's a few things you've been doing on your podcast that I've really enjoyed. One, of course, is the Santa tracker, and when I heard you do that first one, I thought, that'd be great to share with my audience. It was a lot of fun. I can remember when my kids were real little, we'd kind of go on the website, see where Santa was and track him all over the map on the world. And now that they're older, they know Santa can make it without them watching. So, but yeah, it just, to me, that just brought back some nostalgia. It sounds like you have a lot of fun with that.
I do. I mean, it's for the kids. I picture myself as a kid. I have my nephews. I have little family members based on my beliefs growing up and what I wanted to see. Then right now I could actually use my voice to create a visual. Because before, when I was little, there was a book, but I couldn't turn the page until it was the next day. So I would find out what was going on. And then the last few pages were where was Santa? What time was he supposed to be where? And when we were getting to the location we were at, my cousin and I, we just told our parents we had to go home because we had to go to sleep because look at the time. And about that time is when he comes. And if he's coming at that time, then, if he sees us up, we're not going to get anything. And then there were these phone numbers that my grandma used to give us that we call on Christmas Eve. And it was different numbers, and it'll tell us where Santa was. It was an answering machine and saying, well, Santa's right here right now. He's at this location, so he can't come to the phone. If that helped me track Santa, why not,
Well, yeah, I know a lot of websites and things will do that too. We'll have different ways to keep track of him. So I thought it was neat. Just you brought that into the podcast world.
I wonder how the Santa track is going to be the rest of this year, because I usually start checking up how things are at the North Pole around October, November, because I know there's a lot of movement.
Oh, sure. So, sure.
We'll have to stay tuned to see.
I guess so. Yeah, definitely. And I expect in January, he deserves at least some time off to rest and relax. Another aspect of your podcast I enjoyed was you had some segments on what you called paying it forward and just showing kindness to people and doing even little things just to help each other out. At the end of my episodes, I encourage people to be kind to each other. It's something I feel very passionate about too. And I really appreciate the way you've just developed that as a main theme in some of those episodes this past month. What's some of your inspiration behind that?
Myself. I could only live through my own experience. So myself, the way I used to be, the way I used to see things for a little short time in my life. And then somebody showing me, not telling me, hey, do this, but somebody showing me that with a smile, you could save a life. And I got that smile. And I got that hug. I'm not going to say it saved my life because I love my life. I love myself. I don't know how it got to that person. I don't know how it got to me. And it was through this person, but the whole, paying it forward is just a chain. And it's something that you don't have to spend money on. It takes no effort to put out a very sincere smile.
Right.
And the reaction that you see the rest of the day, it's priceless. It's that awesome. And my inspiration was myself, because once I felt that, I'm like, I can't keep this. Like, I have to spread it. And when you try to spread it, it comes obviously you're like, why isn't it working? But then when you live by it, then
yeah,
I haven't tripped in a long time. So I guess it's working for me, because I used to think about stuff and then trip. And I'll use that as an example. I haven't tripped in a long time. And I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm doing everything perfect. No, I'm just doing everything how I can and how it's coming out of my heart. A lot of people say a heart is just an organ that pumps blood. But to me, besides pumping blood, it's just, full of emotions. And while that thing is pumping, I'm just going to try and, smile as much as I can to as many people as I can. And once I get back to the hugging, then I'll hug as many people,
Yeah. Yeah. People might not appreciate a hug these days, but you might give them something extra along with that hug.
Yeah. It's weird when, like I talked to my grandma and my mom, it usually used to be like a kiss and a hug. I'm like, don't you come near me, you FaceTime me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
So let's stick to smiling.
That's right. Well, boy, I tell you though, this past year, we have needed kindness more than ever. I think it's been hard for a lot of people. I consider myself fortunate that, we had COVID, but didn't hit us very hard. So many of the things that people face, losing their jobs, maybe not being sure what they're going to be able to eat, things like that, because of COVID. They went through some unimaginable hardships. And, I think that message of being kind is so needed right now. We hear a lot too about, the nation needs to heal and that kind of thing. And I think it's going to happen through being kind and putting those differences aside.
And just everybody, I want everybody just to keep in mind that we just went through the Christmas season and we're starting a whole new year.
Mm-hmm.
And just because Christmas is over doesn't mean you slow down or you retract on the nice things that you started in Christmas because of the holiday feels. But just remember, if you keep that intensity going, it becomes a habit. And by next Christmas, even if nobody tells you what happened, you're going to have this whole feeling of accomplishment of what you could do in a whole year. There's a lot of people still that they're not going to have the same job they had before. There's, even if they get a better job, that's all this that has happened in the past year, at least a scar in our lives, but it's just how you manage to do it. So, still, be super kind. Remember, there's still people that they might not have the same plate of food that you have on your table. So just as if it was Christmas week or Thanksgiving weekend, just make sure that if you have that blessing, just share that blessing with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God never abandons. If you believe in God, there's people that don't believe in God, and I've met them, so wonderful human beings. Like, you're never going to be without that blessing. It's not a religious thing. It's not a political thing. It's just a human thing.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter what you believe. You're still going to cross paths with a lot of people. Just share it.
Right. Yeah. I had a guest on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about just state of the world, and she said, hey, we just need to let people know, hey, humans, we're going to be okay. And I like that, that, like you said, we're in this together. Well, talking about this, I'm reminded of A Christmas Carol. I don't know, my listeners are going to probably be tired of me talking about it by now, but it's such a powerful story. That's Scrooge's whole thing, is that he wasn't being kind. He wasn't being generous with the resources that he had, and he expected something else to take care of them, and he couldn't be bothered with it. That's a powerful aspect of that story that I think our world needs to remember right now. Is trying to remember the exact quote here, but when the ghost of Jacob Marley, that when he says, mankind was my business, that he should have seen them more as just fellow passengers to the grave, that there is more to life than that. And that just remains to this day my favorite story. It has so many good messages for us today.
And it's so easy to apply them to our everyday living, because resisting, we use so much of our energy resisting, trying not to go on the good side. I mean, we're so worried about what other people think, what's on social media, how other people are acting, and actually applying the good values.
Mm-hmm.
And Christmas Carol, I mean, you can't love anybody until you love yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing Scrooge was doing was just preventing himself from being happy. And he didn't want to be happy, so he didn't want anybody else to be happy. He didn't question why he wasn't happy, and he hated everybody that was happy, or he hated the fact that they were happy. He worried too much about what was material.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, he had the resources, because even the people that didn't have the resources, they didn't mind. They went on about their lives, and even with all the money in the world, he didn't have that one thing, that happiness, and he had to suffer in order to get it. And the book, the movies, the illustrations, they'll sum it up, in a few pages, the movie in a few minutes of what he goes through. And I find always a little bit that I could identify with. And that's just a graphic of what we go through. And as human beings, we could either accept and adapt, and it takes a few seconds, or suffer like he did, like his whole life until he was a very old man. In most cases, how he's pictured, he was a very old man, and he wasted so many years of his life, Like A Christmas Carol is very,
Yeah.
very, very, very powerful.
Yeah.
But if you get the message and apply it, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that story is still so popular today. So, and I think just as powerful today as it ever was. It's got a good message. So I guess our encouragement to you for the listeners for the new year is to show kindness to each other and find new and creative ways to do that even. And like Manny said, keep doing it. Eventually it'll be a habit. What a good habit to have, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll change gears a little bit here. I want to ask you a couple of questions here just so folks can get to know you a little better. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie you like to watch every year? Just one. Yeah. Yeah.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. My whole life I've identified with Clark Griswold.
Yeah.
Like every single aspect.
Uh-huh.
I think that's me.
Yeah. So you're going to slowly lose your mind over the Christmas season? No. Well,
we have Christmas podcasts. I think we already went beyond that.
Yeah.
We just try to hide it.
Yeah. We all lost our minds already. Yeah. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. Well, I mean, it would have to be either A Christmas Carol, one of the movie versions, or the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. I like that one quite a lot. I like the family theme on that one, but really a lot of good ones.
Yeah, but when it comes to Christmas, to sit down with my wife,
yeah,
Santa Claus, we watch it throughout the year.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yes, we do watch the Santa Claus throughout the year, and then Elf, I got it free.
Oh, nice.
I don't remember how many years ago, like on Google,
like
with Google, I don't know, something with the movies, and I have Elf right there. So I just do Google and Elf is right there. So I'll pull that movie if I have my headphones near and I'll watch it. But when it comes to Christmas Vacation, like that's me. And you could go in my front lawn and look at my house and you could tell that's me.
There was a couple years ago, the first weekend after Thanksgiving, I think it was. And that's when our town, usually everyone turns on their Christmas lights that weekend. I think it was that Friday morning or Sunday morning, all the power went off and in town, something happened and all the power went out. And so somebody asked me, did you knock the power out of town, Griswold? It's like, I hope not. Yeah. That year I went a little overboard, I think. I don't know.
There's no such thing.
Oh, I mean, it brings people joy, at least me. I know people who love Christmas or, even like Christmas, how many go out and look at Christmas lights as part of their tradition?
Oh, I did that for Thanksgiving.
Oh, there you go.
I went to another state. We did like a 10-hour drive.
Oh, nice.
Yes. It's a great feeling. I mean, you get tired, obviously, when you're driving, but then you see lights. It's like refueling. It's like a shot of Cuban coffee. Like, boom. Okay, there we go again. I'm motivated again.
What about favorite food? What kind of Christmas food do you like? Whether it's for Christmas dinner itself or just the season.
All right, this is where Feliz Christmas Merry Navidad comes in handy.
All right.
I'm from Puerto Rico, so I'm gonna say it in Spanish and then I'm gonna go to English. Arroz con gandules, pasteles, lechón, ensalada de papa, y para beber coquito. So that's rice with peas. It's green peas. Pasteles is taste pasteles. It's made out of banana, wrapped in a banana leaf, and you boil it. It has meat inside. Lechón, it's pork, and you roast it. It's like you roast it on a bar, like rotisserie style, but most of the times it's on the ground. So you cut outside and potato salad, or basically any type of salad, and then coquito. Like over here in the mainland, we have eggnog, but from Puerto Rico, we have coquito, which is made with coconut, and it might be spiced or really spiced.
Yeah,
we spike that thing, and that's our to-go food in Christmas. And I'm open to all traditions because I mean I love food. I don't think I'll ever get to my high school weight ever again.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I always go back to that one, and every time I would share that with anybody from here, like, oh my, with my coworkers, like one of the guys that works with me, I took him to eat food, and he had salt and pepper. He's like, oh wait, I didn't use my salt and pepper. I'm like, you don't need it. He's like, oh yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Man, we just baked some Christmas cookies. My go-to tend to be the baked goods, the cookies, the pies. My wife makes these called kolache. I don't know what they are, but they look like they're shaped like those mini like little smokies. They're shaped like that. But it's like a dough wrapped around some kind of a nut paste of like cream
Oof.
cheese and walnuts or something. But oh man, they
My
are
sugar just
good.
dropped. My sugar just dropped.
Yep. Yep. Those are so good. And I do unseemly things with them.
That's what I love about being in the United States.
Uh-huh.
I only got one dessert for Thanksgiving because of the variety that was all over the place. Like going into the different bakeries.
Yeah.
And I live in a smaller town, but so much variety. And when I went to New York the last Christmas that I went to New York, oh my, like the bakes, but that's why I've made it that I don't want dessert. Like I avoid desserts. I rather have just a little bit more of the food because if I go into dessert, I'll what is it like? I'll sanitize myself.
Yeah.
And when I say size, I mean like big Santa.
Yeah. My dad, he remarried and married into an Italian family. And
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
he loved to eat. And boy, at holidays, they just bring out the food. And so the first Christmas he spent with my stepmom, they went to a family's house. They had all this food, all this dessert, and he just stuffed himself silly. And then they went to somebody else's house and they had all the food out again. And he had to be rolled home that night, I think. Oh, my dad and I, we're not one to turn down a meal. So
why would you?
right. Yeah. I got to enjoy some good cooking from her too. So yeah, it's great time. Well, one last question here. How about a favorite tradition or favorite memory around Christmas that you've really enjoyed?
When I was little, I used to wait for Santa Claus up all night. And the next day I would talk with my cousin and somehow we heard the same stuff and we saw the same thing in the sky. And I don't know, like when you're kids, you imagine stuff, but I had a talk with her recently and we talked about that and we still don't know how it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's just the connection. Because we spent all our Christmases, like we would wake up in our house and then the first thing in the morning we would drive, like our parents would drive us to my grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like Disneyland. Like last time I went to my grandma's house, it's not a big house, but when I was little, like I would see all the lights.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like Disneyland. And my first Christmas is, I guess, before I was away from my family, or like, you move away, you grow up. So it's never the same, but I still cherish and I remember so much of those because we would stay out, like everybody was inside. We would sit out and at night, it's not as cold as that's in the mainland. It's not cold at all. And we just stare at lights and talk about the stuff. And then the next day for Christmas Day, we would share a story and we heard something and we saw something. And when we ask our parents, it's the same story that we tell them. So they would share the story. So it's not that I was sharing my story with her and she's sharing it with me.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to, bounce it off each other. Like when my mom and my aunt talked, it was hilarious. And then hearing it after we're grown up, because it was the same story. So they got to my grandma's house again with the same story.
Mm. And
I guess, and the fact that in Puerto Rico, we celebrate Christmas and Three Kings. So Christmas is on the 25th and Three Kings on the 6th. So, for a kid, double the presents. Yeah. Even though Christmas was for toys and Three Kings was for clothing. Mm. Like if it came in a wrapper, like if it came wrapped, I don't care what was in there.
Yeah.
I was just happy that I was unwrapping stuff. So
yeah. There's like an old Christmas picture or something that says something like, may you never be too old to still search the skies on Christmas Eve.
I have a shirt.
Oh, you have a shirt like that. Cool. There you go. I tell people my favorite day is not Christmas Day, it's Christmas Eve. And especially in the evening when when it's that anticipation and you're waiting for the next day, whether, you're all about presents, whether it's a day that is, if you're very religious or something like that, or you just, this is a day I get to spend with my family and that's going to be fun, and my extended family. There's many things that we anticipate about Christmas Day. And, it's just that waiting, that anticipation, the fun that's going to happen. There's so much joy on that. And so, yeah, I like to go out and I haven't gotten too old to still search the sky yet. So
I don't think there's an age. I mean,
yeah,
that's the essence we have and what we pass along to the little ones coming afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good feeling, because if you honestly do it with the same innocence as when you were a kid, you still get the same goosebumps. You still get like that uplifting energy. And yeah, Christmas Eve, I think it is my favorite day, just because all the buildup is towards that night. But it's also, for me, it turns like sad towards the end. It's like, so we reset again. That's why I like my Christmas. Like, they go a lot longer than usual Christmas. I heard there's another Christmas that's actually longer than Puerto Rico's, but I'll stick to that tradition. But the way the air feels, the way it feels when you're breathing it, like when the little or a lot of wind, depends,
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's like you said, it's magical. It's a miracle. I mean,
this year there was a little bit of bittersweetness to it. It was my son. He turned 18 in December, and he's getting ready for college, and that's all so good and healthy, and I'm excited for him. But there's a lot of stages we're hitting now that, those are doors that are closing, and I know there'll be new ones and new memories to make, but yeah, it's still rough sometimes. And now, do you have any kids or?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
But I did talk right before Thanksgiving. I went to chop a Christmas tree, which you could find that episode in my podcast. So I went to chop a Christmas tree, and usually at the Christmas tree farm, Santa doesn't visit until after Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get there, it's before Thanksgiving, and Santa's at a sleigh taking pictures. And he asked me that same question: do you have any kids? And I'm like, no. He said, well, let me tell you this story. And he asked me, do you believe? And I had like my Santa shirt that says believe, but it was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of Christmas shirts, so I grabbed the first one that's there, since that was the first Christmas t-shirt I was going to wear this year. So it was, whichever one, I haven't worn it yet. So, and he's like, but let me ask you a question. Do you believe? And I'm like, always and forever. He's like, awesome. Not everybody after a certain age, can answer like that. I'm like, I'm always going to be a believer. And let me tell you this story. This little girl last year, she came and she whispered that she wanted a little sister or a brother. And he looked at us and he smiled. And then he's like, just a few minutes ago, it was mommy, daddy, the little girl, and her little sister taking a picture with me.
Oh,
I was like, wow. And I'm like, I looked at my wife, and I told her, baby, we could get our Christmas miracle, and we could come, and take a picture with Santa, all of us, next year.
yeah. Our my oldest, he was born in December, and so we almost had a Christmas baby. It was about a week. Let's see, 12th. So about 12 days short of Christmas. So
12 days of Christmas.
Yeah. So yeah, that Christmas I expect we were pretty tired, and that he had some issues with jaundice and things that we had to take him to the hospital and things. But by Christmas he was healthy and home with us, and we were very grateful for that. So yeah, it was good Christmas present that year, definitely.
Like Eddie says in Christmas Vacation, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it's true. All of our kids, they're gifts like that, and hopefully you'll experience that one day. And it sounds like at least through your nieces and nephews, you can still do that too. So
yeah, well, like when kids just give you that energy. I know they drain the energy as well. I know, but but it's just, I want to share this. Like, I have so much Christmas stuff. I have old school stuff and stuff like that, but like, I just want little people to share with, to run around the house. And hopefully they do like it. Because, I mean, my wife and I, we've been getting ready and buying a bunch of board games and old school Nintendo and stuff. Like, we have our tablet or whatever, but I want them to see what we saw growing up, like to feel some of the stuff that we felt growing up. My oldest nephew, they both like superheroes and stuff, but my oldest nephew is a Nintendo fan like I am. And I only showed him how to play twice. And he's made my brother get him everything that has to do with Mario. And I sent him Mario stuff, and he looks up on YouTube Mario stuff. And my mom's like, he just reminds me of you so much. And when he talks to me, my mom's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but you're talking about the same thing and you understand each other. And
yeah,
I think I want that permanent feeling like around the house. And hopefully when we do get them, the babies, they like that stuff. Because imagine.
We had a Wii for a while, and then you could get some of the old Mario games on the Wii. And so I did that, and that was a lot of fun. And got to show my kids the games I used to play, and I thought they were gonna make fun of it, but they were like, "Oh, this is cool! This is fun!
They're a lot better." My nephew, since he was a baby, he always had a tablet and with all this 3D stuff, and he was very talented with that stuff. But when he grabbed the controller, and there was no touch, and he was moving from side to side, I'm like, "Nah, buddy, this is old school." And the first time he was mad because there was no touchscreen or anything. It was just touch buttons. But I guess he processed it in his head, or it was his subconscious, because the next time he said, I want to play Nintendo. I want to play Mario 3. Mario 3? I was like, where'd you learn Mario 3 from? It was in your house. You had Super Mario's, and then you had Super Mario 3s. You had Mario 2, but you said it wasn't that good. I'm like, how do you remember? It's been months. And I let him play, and ever since, he's awesome. And he's only 6 years old right now. And he's awesome. He beats levels, and he tells my mom, like, call my uncle, tell him I beat it. I'm like, ooh.
You've created a monster.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yep. But at least it's with Mario, it's with a controller with actual buttons, not touchscreen. So I'm proud.
There you are. Yep, absolutely. Man, Mario 3 is like the best game ever.
Yep.
Well, Manny, I'm going to have to wrap up this episode, but thanks for coming by again. And I look forward to this new year and all that you're going to do with your podcast. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. And just for everybody, just remember the year's starting out now. If you finished last year strong, just make this year better. If it wasn't that strong, you have a whole year to make it what you want it to be. The ball's in your court.
That's right. And be kind to each other and do that every day. Manny, again, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Well, you know who I haven't talked to in a while? Gracie. We're going to recap our Christmas this year and the fun surprises that Christmas brought to us this year. So let's go see what Gracie's up to. Hello, Gracie.
Hi.
So, Gracie, you're back on the podcast today. How was Christmas?
Fine.
Just fine?
Good.
Oh, it's good, too. Okay. It was fine. It was good. And you're now back in school again.
Yep.
Things are going well. People are staying healthy.
For the most part.
That's...
I don't know.
That's good. Well, we are joined with a special fuzzy furry friend here tonight as well. He doesn't say much, though.
Well, you should have seen him 5 minutes ago.
Keep him quiet. One of our wonderful listeners sent us a couple of little Christmas presents, and we just wanted to tell her thank you very much. I wish you could have seen the look and the squealing and heard the squealing Gracie had when she unwrapped this present. So, Gracie, tell me a bit about what your present is here.
Silvana sent me this adorable little, well, it's not very little, just like medium-sized bear. He's white with gray stripes, and he has like a little white muzzle with a big gray nose. Yeah, he's kind of funny, like the way he's shaped, it's a little funny. Like his stomach up to his neck is shaped kind of like a pear, but then his legs are like thin as noodles, and his feet are like huge. Yeah,
it looks like somebody stuck arms and legs and a head on a pear. and he's adorable. I'll have to get I'll have to post a picture.
So he has lots and lots of stripes, so I named him Stripey, and it's a boy. All my bears seem to be boys. I don't know why. But he's adorable, so...
Hello!
But yeah, I really like him. So.
Yeah. And I got a pin, and it has some books on it, and it's just a real neat little pin. So we wanted to say thank you. And if I knew what your favorite Christmas carol was, I'd sing it for you. But then nobody would listen anymore, so we won't do that.
I mean, I can sing.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, we'll maybe have to work on that. So,
I'll give you voice lessons.
Oh, you give me voice lessons. Great. So then I can sound like Pavarotti. Ooh,
okay.
ooh. Oh, no, ow. Okay. No singing. All right.
Not like that anyway.
That's in my contract. No singing on the podcast.
I mean, if you sing decently, that was...
Right. Okay. So, how was Christmas morning? Did we have snow? I can't remember. Yeah, we had snow.
We had a little bit of snow, but now we have the snow. Like, seriously, we have, like, at least a foot out there. Well, about a foot of snow.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess it depends on the place, because it was, like, really windy. But, like, I was, like, holy, when I stepped in someplace. I'm like, where's all the snow? And others, like, I could still see the grass in some parts because of the wind had just blown, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but other parts, like, I, like, thought I was gonna, like, trip and fall and face plant in the snow because it was, like, to the top of my boots. So. Yeah.
Yesterday we had a blizzard, actually. 2 days ago we had a blizzard.
Yeah.
And
it was epic.
The snow drifted against some buildings really, really a massive amount. It was incredible.
You haven't seen snow like that in a while.
No, not really. We had a decent snow. It snowed pretty much the whole day.
Well, until afternoon.
Until the afternoon, yeah.
And then all night. It was really creepy because I woke up around 5-ish and I was creeped out because I didn't really know it was like going to be windy, and I just heard the door slam to the garage, and I'm like,
yeah, our garage door, the door we walk in was open and it was slamming through from the wind. The wind was intense.
Yeah, it was bad. But, like, I didn't know it was going to be windy, so I'm like, is there, like, a person, like, stalking around?
Yeah, it was a polar bear.
And then I freaked out, because, like, I was, like, because then I was, like, hearing things. I thought I heard, like, people downstairs. So I was, like, half asleep. I go into my parents' room. I'm like, it sounds like there's someone downstairs.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I woke up all the way, so...
Yeah, you were just kind of like...
Mom took care of that for me.
I don't know. It was weird, but it was just windy, but...
Yeah.
Wind, like, just gets me sometimes, but yeah.
Yep. Well, it sounds creepy when the house starts groaning.
Yeah. Off on a rabbit trail.
Oh, right, rabbit trail. So we had a little bit of snow on Christmas morning.
Not very much. But...
Oh man, Christmas was fun this year. It really was.
Let's see. I got so many bear things. So I got Squishy. I got Timothy 1, Timothy 2. Another bear I haven't named yet. Stripey. I swear I had one more.
Did you mention Squishy?
Yes, I mentioned Squishy.
Squishy.
At least 5 this year. Wow,
Squishy is probably. I love it. This thing is huge. It's this giant. Looks like a beanbag almost, but
it's it's called a squishmallow.
A squishmallow, mellow, yeah.
Yeah, I just named it Squishy. I pick a lot of basic names. That's because I run out of all the cool names because I have like a bajillion bears.
And that's not an exaggeration.
I don't know how many, but last I counted, I had 50. But that was like before Christmas and all the Christmas season when he bought me like 7 million more.
I was weak.
Because I bribed him with my frown. And then now I'm probably over 60. So
nice.
I have a lot. So.
Yeah. So we had to go to Walmart and I found this thing to put, I don't know, it's like a...
You hang it from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then there's all these little like places for storage in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like different compartments kind of. And
yeah,
it hangs
it's
from
like
the
a
ceiling.
mesh net. It's round and it has like she said, different compartments and
little holes.
Yeah,
and
so we
now
got some bears
I can
in there.
actually like fit in my bed.
Yeah, it was getting to be problematic.
And they would all fall off, and I'd have to make them beds in the laundry baskets, and that wasn't.
Then they spend all night crying on the floor, and
I would make some of them beds on the floor. I don't know why I'm so dedicated to them. I just am.
Yeah. Well, then we had a nice surprise for the kids. So the last present they all opened was the announcement that we were going to go visit Grandma and Grandpa the next day for about a week for Christmas. We weren't sure we were going to be able to visit or not, but
we've had COVID.
Yep, we had COVID, and
they did too. Well,
they did as well, and
at least my grandma.
Yeah, at least your grandma did. So we felt like we could make the trip, and it wasn't too far of a trip, and we could make it safely.
It felt like forever in the car, though.
Yeah.
Except for you, because you would
actually no.
In the back seat, you would like listen to your podcast and fall asleep for the majority of it.
That trip felt really short, and I ended up sleeping most of the way, I think, and I was really tired. But
I would throw a bear at him, and he'd be like, "Ah!"
We had we had a nice time down there. The weather was really. Well, it was southern Missouri, so
for a few days it was nice, and then it just rained. We
got to go out and enjoy some nature, so that was fun. Anyway, on the way home, we ran into a snowstorm. It was an ice storm.
Yeah.
So we had to spend the night in a hotel.
And my dad was saying like, your sister was like, "Oh, it's not that bad." And then,
right.
And then you're like, "Yes, underneath of that is an inch of ice."
Yeah, the snow accumulation wasn't much, but the ice was icing up our wipers. It was icing the road.
Within minutes. And we were starving, so we went to get lunch at McDonald's. I got out and I almost fell because literally the whole parking lot was just coated in inches of ice, and I'm like, this is terrifying. Somehow we survived, and luckily we had a Super 8 really close, so we were able to stay the night. And
I don't remember what town that was even. Somewhere in Iowa. I'll have to remember, but
it was scary.
Anyway, it's a really nice hotel, and the
guy there was just so
nice. The guy who owned it and ran it was just super nice and had a great hotel experience. Yeah, so that was an adventure.
Car trips wear me out, even though you do nothing but like sitting all day, but for some reason they still make me tired. But we had a good time. It was pretty adventurous.
We had then we went across the street for some Mexican food.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Which was good, and then
tacos.
We walked around Walmart
and they bought me 2 bears because they were on sale.
Oh, we did, yeah.
And I named them Snowball and Maple.
Maple looks like your traditional Canadian with the ear flaps, the plaid, and everything. So we named him Maple after maple syrup, right?
No, because like the flag of Canada has maple.
Oh, maple leaf. Okay. Oh, I see. So, yeah, that would work too. But yeah, I know we do have some Canadian listeners out there, so hello to you, and mail me some syrup.
No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Just kidding.
But Snowball was a basic bear. You're just basic bear.
Like a wintry white polar bear.
Really white bear with red and green scarf, little paws and stuff.
Yeah, so that was our Christmas. It was pretty simple. We had a little time away.
It was nice to get out of the house after forever, it felt like, because all I really leave the house for is school. And I don't know about you, but I'm not like, if I were to choose a place to go, I wouldn't choose school,
Yeah.
I mean, school isn't bad, but there's way better places I could choose to go than school. Santa delivered a lot of good presents this year.
Pretty much, if I got a book for Christmas, that makes me happy. So, we got a fun game too, board game, a couple of games.
Yeah,
it was great. Tree is down.
Sadly, but
yeah, I took it down.
She won't let us keep it up all year.
She being the matriarch of the house. I think our Christmas lights are still up.
Oh, yeah, our outdoor Christmas lights. We were just too lazy to take them down.
Well, actually, they're on a timer, and all I have to do is switch off the box, and they'll turn off. Yeah. But I put the box in a different place this time, and it's out in the yard. And
You
I don't
could
want
be like that one family and keep them up all year.
I don't want to.
not always
That
gonna-
reminded me. Anyway, there are several houses in town still that have their Christmas lights up, so that was
Several,
cool.
Yeah. I feel like people just need some extra joy this year. So,
Mhm.
so because of everything, well, last year kind of, if you want to get technical, but
Yeah. Well, and you know that there's a house in town we call the Gingerbread House.
I
Because
love that house.
The way they decorate is so
It's so
beautiful,
just
and
amazing.
it looks. And I think they just won our town's Christmas light contest. But now they switched the decorations, and they have just a few strings of white lights, and they have some.
They did.
So
it doesn't look as cool anymore.
No, and they have snowflake lights in the windows.
cool.
So now it looks like winter, and it's just winter lights, which is really neat.
Yeah, so you don't always have to take down you could take down your Christmas lights, but you can put up different things.
Yeah, and I like this idea of changing the lights so it doesn't look Christmassy, but it looks more wintry.
Right.
And
Because it is winter still.
yeah, well, and I saw driving through the blizzard to the gas station to pick up our pizza for dinner, and it made me happy to see that. I thought that looks
But
like winter, not Christmas.
During the Christmas season, they go crazy, absolutely nuts, and inside the windows, they'll have kind of red and orange kind of lights. It doesn't sound that Christmassy, but it really makes it look like a gingerbread house, and just the colors, because the house is brown. Well, and then those colors go well together, and they also just have normal lights, like Christmas lights, but they make it so pretty that it just looks like a gingerbread house. And one house on the same street as us, they also go absolutely nuts for Christmas. That lady at the end of the road,
Right, yeah.
And
I've
seen her up on a ladder, putting lights.
Okay, I wondered if they hired someone or if they did it themselves.
I don't
but
know. Maybe I saw it. I don't know.
I would love to have a house look like that, but I don't think I'd want to do it that intense. I have about 1 or 2 strands out on the porch, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, they look pretty enough. So.
Yep. Well, that was our Christmas. It was pretty low key.
Yeah. Nothing too fancy, but it was still nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get why you didn't give me a pet bear.
Oh,
I'm bitter.
I know. Maybe next year you'll get the bear cub for Christmas.
I'm just kidding. It'd probably try to kill me.
No, not until I grew up.
Still, it doesn't make me feel any better.
Although I have seen videos where people have been able to tame bears and
take care of them.
Yeah. So, well, don't get any ideas. So.
No, I know. Maybe I'll just be a zookeeper one day.
There you go. Work at the zoo. Take care of the bears.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pandas, koalas, grizzlies, polar sun bears.
Well, I think that'll wrap it up here with Gracie. She doesn't know this, but I'm gonna have her back on probably the next episode in a couple of weeks. I've got a list of some Christmas questions to ask you that I found online, so we're gonna revisit some of that and ask some questions and see and learn a little bit more about what we like about Christmas. So stay tuned for that.
Basically, the truth.
Yes. All right.
Spilling out.
Oh no, the truth. All right. Well, you all let us know how your Christmas was, and we will
hope it was great.
talk to you later. And I hope that the one gift you didn't get was COVID. All right. Let's make like a banana and split.
What?
You didn't find that joke appealing?
Oh, okay. That's dumb.
All right. Well, these are the jokes. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Sure, I can't sing. Oh, you sound better. Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right. Thank you, Gracie. And we'll be sure to hear more from her in the upcoming new season. All right. Speaking of new season, let's look at the old one. When I started this I started preparation for this podcast back in about May or June or so. I had a lot of things to learn, a lot of research, and I'm still learning as I go. I had visions of being more organized than I was, but, we got through it. Even though I did lose a couple of episodes here and there, I don't know what happened to them, but they disappeared on me. And honestly, my expectations for the podcast were pretty low, partly due because I often doubt myself, but, and like I'd said in an interview before, I really wanted to do a podcast. I love books, and if I'm crazy enough, I might start a book podcast this year, but we'll see. But I love Christmas, and I part of wonderful communities of book podcasts and Christmas podcasts. But I decided to go with Christmas because this year was difficult, and I needed that Christmas joy in my life, and this certainly met that need. I've really just felt happily in the Christmas spirit all year. It is my sincerest wish, if I accomplished nothing else, that I was able to bring you some of that Christmas cheer and to encourage us all to share kindness to each other and to tell each other stories and to laugh. I was expecting very low numbers. I don't know what's normal for a Christmas podcast, but I didn't really expect much, and I kind of wanted to keep my expectations low, so I didn't get frustrated, but I wanted to come in and do the best job that I could. And I am overwhelmed today that since the first episode dropped in July, I have had 28,642 unique downloads. I thought maybe I would reach 1,000 by the end of the year. So this completely has blown me away, which, that's almost 1,000 downloads per episode. And, now that we're in January, those download numbers have really dropped because most people listen in November and December, I guess, but then that's okay. I'll be putting content out because I know that there are going to be some of you who listen all year round. And some of you need to catch up on all the content I put out in December too. So there's that. But if you're going to be with me throughout the year, I'd love to hear from you. One of the best things you can do is to rate and review us online. I know Apple Podcasts, you're able to do that, and that really helps. Any place you can do that is such a help to us, and it's a free way to help out the show. Also, you can share us on your social media. I know you might get some flack from your friends who may not be a Christmas crazy like you are, but sharing us also helps. So I thank you for those folks who are doing that, and I know especially a couple of you are doing that quite steadily, so that's such a big help. I had 2 goals in mind as far as interviews went, and that was to interview Sam Weller, the author. He was, I think, the first interview I did, and we talked about Ray Bradbury and his Christmas story, but we talked a lot about just Bradbury in general, and that was around October, around Halloween time. And another, as crazy as it sounded, I wanted to talk to Gerald Dickens, who is Charles Dickens's great-great-grandson. And I was able to do that too. And you can see that in the Christmas Carol episode I did. And those were really just the highlights of many highlights of many high points for me this year. That it was just amazing to get to meet 2 people and to chat with 2 people whose work I enjoy. And then we get to talk about Christmas. That's like the best thing ever. But then along the way, I got to meet some new friends and new people and folks I'm going to have back on again in this upcoming year. So many great people out there. It was just fun to be able to reach out and make new friends and to talk about Christmas and what they're doing. So what were the most downloaded episodes I've had? Of course, the biggest downloaded episode has been the first one. It's been out the longest, and if you're like me, I always, when I find a new podcast, I'll usually listen to the first episode and then try to play catch up and bounce back and forth between their current episodes and their backlog if I really like it. But I won't count that one because that's just kind of an introduction. So beyond that, the one that has the most downloads is the one on October 29th, where I read a story for Halloween called A Kidnapped Santa Claus, and that's by L. Frank Baum. And that was a lot of fun to record and playing around with the sound to make some of the different voices. A Kidnapped Santa Claus had almost 1,300 downloads, so that's pretty cool. And a very close second was the episode called A Creative Little Christmas, where I talked to 3 different people from the My Merry Christmas website that I'd met there. So I talked to Bill from thevillagecollector.com. Bill and I want to have Bill back on to share some more Christmas stories. I talked to Sandra McCauley, who wrote the book called A Town Called Festive, which I know she's writing some new books, and I'll let you know when those are available. And then I talked to Sean from the Christmas Podcasts podcast. I want to take a moment just to tip my hat to Sean. His podcast is almost like the impossible. Okay, he has to keep track of all of our podcasts, especially in December. It must have been insane, as many of us downloaded a ton of stuff during Christmas time. And to keep track of all that, to be able to come up with summaries, and on top of that, he was doing interviews for a while. I just really appreciate his hard work on that and in helping and just advertising us, basically, which, is just a wonderful, wonderful gift. So Sean, thank you. And I hope you had a very Merry Christmas. Keep up the good work. And I just want to say, we recognize the hard work that you're putting in over there. So thank you, Sean, so much. Another close third place episode is the episode with Gerald Dickens. It's called A Christmas Carol with Gerald Dickens. And I hope you had a chance to watch his one-man production video of that. I watched it twice, and it was so good. And then I guess to round out the top 5, we have A Simple Christmas with guest Nancy Carey Johnson. And I hope you've had a chance to read her book. It's so charming. And then A Stress-Free Christmas with Lisa Sharp. And Lisa was just so kind to come on the show and give us some tips. And Lisa, I hope you've had a good, cozy Christmas this year. The podcast has been downloaded all over the world. And I'm happy to say in all 50 states here in the United States. Strangely, the last state to download an episode was South Dakota. I would have thought Hawaii or somewhere hot, but it was South Dakota, but they eventually joined in. So if you're my South Dakota listener, I want to send you greetings and say thank you for listening to the show. Well, it's time to wrap up, and I want to do it with a poem. I came across this poem online from Susan Noyes Anderson Poems.com, and I'll have the link to her website in the show notes. Her middle name is spelled Noyes. So that's Susan Noyes Anderson Poems.com. And she's written a poem back in 2012 called Christmas Past, The Afterglow. Christmas Past, The Afterglow by Susan Noyes Anderson. One melancholy sight to see, a brittle, barren Christmas tree. The lights that twinkled are no more, pine needles lie upon the floor. The beads and balls have all come down, and every branch droops to a frown. Removed, it leaves an empty space, but hope steps in and holds a place. A lingering whiff of forest air, a memory for all to share, a sense of loved ones gathered there. And then I want to read what she says at the bottom of this poem. She comments, "Sometimes I wonder why Christmas ever has to end, but then I remember that a big part of its magic is the fact that we only get to welcome it once a year. Anything that special is worth waiting for, and the season of Christ's birth definitely qualifies. Happily, we are always free to celebrate him all year long." And I love the sentiment that she expresses there, and I want to thank her for giving me permission to read her poem. I love just how accurate her description is. After we took our tree down, we have a fake tree, but there were needles all over the ground, and I have had to vacuum several times just to get it all up. I like to burn the pine candles, and sometimes I catch a whiff of that, and I'm like, oh, it's Christmas. I smell that, I smell that Christmas smell. There's a place I like to walk at a local state park. There's one section we call the Christmas tree the Christmas tree forest or the Christmas tree path, because it walks in between pine trees, and even in the summer when they get damp, you can smell the pine and it smells like Christmas. And so I like to walk there. And that would be something, if you want just a feeling of Christmas in the middle of summer, go take a walk among pine trees if you're able, and smell that wonderful fresh pine smell. It brings me back to Christmas. But I love what she says, that those lingering hints, those lingering smells and memories remind us of the loved ones that had gathered there. And that's so poignant, especially this year when maybe we weren't able to have all of our loved ones gathered together safely. Some were able to, some weren't. And, if you weren't able to, my heart goes out to you. And I hope that this year we can all gather together and be safe as we celebrate the best holiday of the year. So with that, we'll wrap up our first season of Cozy Christmas Podcast. I won't be gone long, just a couple of weeks. I'm going to get some things organized and straightened out and planned, and then we'll be back to it near the end of January. I don't have a firm date yet, so keep subscribed to us, and we'll keep dropping episodes throughout the year. If you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/Cozy Christmas. And for the price of a cup of coffee, you can help support the show. I've also got some new ornaments up at Etsy. The link to my shop will be in the show notes as well. Until we talk again, be kind to each other and share your stories. And remember that there is nothing in the world so irresistibly contagious as laughter and good humor. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.